Da-da-da-da. Alrighty.
This is going to be fun.
Yay! Haha, good afternoon, folks. Welcome to Smudcast number 384, Son Goku, the misunderstood character, the anatomy of anime. Oh my god, any other subtitles? There we go. Okay, this came out 2 years ago in January by a YouTuber named Totally Not Mark. And it has 1.4 million views, so clearly it's a popular topic. And if you're talking about a very famous anime and you're going to talk about character patterns and tropes and arcs, might be worthwhile if you're a fan. If you know what you're talking about. Myself, I never watched it till now. And even then, it's only the first few minutes. So I think it's worth our time to take a part. And since there's an author he's referencing on creative writing, I'm going to do my best to be quiet about that stuff because I have a very particular opinion, having being an author of such a topic as well. So I'm going to try and keep it open and not annoy everyone here with my meandering. So anyway, who's here a Dragon Ball fan? I'm actually not. I just like it. I'm not a huge fan of Akira Toriyama.
I like the original. I like the original series with little Goku.
Yeah, he's cute.
I've seen it all.
I know all of Akira Toriyama.
And I stopped watching. I stopped watching that at the Somewhere in the Boo saga.
Huh.
That's where a lot of people dropped off. I can totally understand.
See, my love of Akira Toriyama, I knew of him in the 90s, in the 80s, of course, because he did Dragon Ball.
Chrono Trigger?
Chrono Trigger, exactly. That was the dream team, and he was the biggest name, at least popularity-wise, for being the character designer, but that's it. I don't know if he did anything else, which is fun.
I remember I had a friend who was accusing that Chrono Trigger is ripping off Dragon Ball Z, and I was saying him that look at the credits. Look at the credits.
No, but when exactly was Z? I don't think Z was a thing yet, or at least it didn't finish.
I think
it was.
that
It
89?
was 94.
94?
You mean Chrono Trigger?
No.
Oh, well, yeah, that.
Trigger came out in 98, I think.
No. Chrono Trigger came out in 94. Chrono Cross came out in 98.
Oh!
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of.
Oh, that makes more sense. Okay.
Yeah, Trigger was SNES.
Yes.
And PS1.
Well,
eventually PS1.
What they call that? The remake or the remaster or something like that?
No, not the PS1.
It was just a re-release.
PS1 was just a straight port to the PS1 bundled with Final Fantasy IV.
Really?
Dragon Ball Z came out in 1989 originally.
Okay, in Japan.
So
1889.
Damn close to Chrono Trigger.
Right. Ah, man, Chrono Trigger, Final Fantasy VI, they all relatively...
Chrono Trigger was
Dragon
95.
Quest.
Yeah,
Dragon
That's
Quest.
the other game where he's the character designer.
Yeah, but Chrono Trigger was 6 years later. But you can see that main character looks a bit like Goku with the hair. It's a redesign of the main character, the boy from Secret of Mana, and the girl. I forgot the name. She is an adaptation of Arale from Dr. Slump.
Right.
Well,
Yeah.
Chrono actually appears in Dragon Ball Z. There's kind of a reference character to him.
Really?
Like a poster? Or
In
something?
one of the movies, you mean?
No, he's like an alien, but I can't remember his name. Hold on, I might look him up.
Interesting.
Are you talking about Tapion? From the Hirudegarn movie?
I'm pretty sure it is. Is he not a reference to him? They look pretty similar.
I wouldn't be surprised, in all honesty. And I'm the Dragon Ball nerd here. I'm just like, really? Alright.
Well, I do know that Dragon Quest was made by Enix, and that was during the 80s and 90s. It's still going on today.
Mm-hmm.
And they got Akira Toriyama to work with them on Squaresoft at the time. And then Enix bought out Squaresoft, and now it's called Square Enix or Squeenix. And
I hate Squeenix.
It's not
I hate that name.
quite the same as it used to be. So
Still pretty big. It's just a little bit all over the place now.
Well,
Especially after Kingdom Hearts.
That is a whole other ball game, which I don't like talking about because it's nuts.
Yeah, unless people put it in the suggestions and we actually vote on it, but that's a story for another day.
Luckily, that hasn't happened. Yeah.
Don't worry, I'll join for that one too. Said you still have the lore guy.
Yeah, the Lord can tell me what's wrong. It's like, why is this? Why is the
With
world
Kingdom
this way? I don't know. It's like
Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah.
With Kingdom Hearts, a fuck ton.
Yeah, you'll be like, well, there's no answer because it doesn't make sense in the first place. It's like, oh, right.
There's either no answer or an answer so convoluted that we'd be all day on it.
Yeah. Well.
But anyway,
why do I want to play 3 games of that?
There's more than 3. There's like 15 or so.
Oh God.
Yes. But anyway, back to Dragon Ball.
Yeah. Okay. So this is. Let's see this. Was it a 10-minute video?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Almost 11 minutes. All right. So this shouldn't take too long, but we're gonna stop and pause and talk for hours. So.
Yay.
Yep.
Yay. Okay. Here we go. Son Goku.
On December 3rd, 1984, Dragon Ball's Son Goku was introduced to the public, and over the last 35 years has become one of the most recognizable and prolific characters of the modern age. From TV shows to commercials to blockbuster movies, from video games to parades to being the mascot for the 2020 Olympic Games.
See, that I did not know. I had no idea. I don't know.
That was announced a while ago.
I don't remember this though. Like I watched some of the games, but I don't remember seeing him plastered anywhere.
Well, not plastered, but
though.
he's quite famous.
I thought
It
I
is a
ran with
really
these
good
cute chibi
I mean,
characters.
at this point, Dragon Ball is a government-funded thing.
Well, not. Well, I wouldn't say it literally, but in a sense, it feels that way.
All right.
It's kind of like how CD Projekt Red with their Witcher series kind of became like a big thing for Poland.
I mean, to be fair,
Oh, yeah.
Well, in that case, that's all they had for a while.
They are running GOG.
Yeah, that too.
That's a weird looking logo though. I don't remember seeing that at all.
Yeah.
They might have remade it by the time of 2021.
Oh. But they kept calling it.
I thought
2020.
I had I thought Japan had these little chibi characters for the Olympics.
Well, that's
but
the new
was
one,
it
yeah.
another one?
But originally it was meant to be Goku.
Oh, okay. Goku's
Yeah,
a good choice, honestly.
Yeah, I think at one point it was going to be. I think at one point there was a rumor that it was going to be Mario. Probably.
Goku's a better choice for the Olympics, but
I think it was going to be like either like Mario or Doraemon or one of those. But eventually they decided for that announcement for it to be Goku.
Mario would be a great international symbol at this point. And
Yeah.
you can say that I think Goku is the closest thing to the Japanese Superman in Japanese media.
In essence, yes. And it's like you watch his story from Dragon Ball when he crash lands on Earth all the way
It
to
is the Superman story.
It is literally the Superman story made for the Japanese audience
Mm-hmm.
with more comedy.
Yeah,
Well,
definitely.
maybe Beijing will have, I don't know, Hello Kitty or something like that.
What? That would also be a Japanese mascot. Beijing can't do that. They would
yeah.
have to invent their own
I
ripoff.
thought it was Chinese.
Well, Beijing already had theirs back in 2008, which is
They have
pretty
Winnie the
recent.
Pooh. Why are you talking about?
Let's not. Nope. Let's not get into that. The point is that Dragon Ball has gotten that big to the point where, for a lot of major events, whether back in Japan or here in the States or wherever, at some point there's going to be some mention of Dragon Ball. That's just how big it is.
Yeah.
All right. Cool stuff.
Games. You would assume for one to accrue such incredible success, said character would need to be widely accepted as a good one, or at least a well-written one. However, Nowadays, there's a strongly held belief that if a character doesn't develop or grow from an experience, then that character in question is a poorly written one. Therefore, to test this theory,
Nah,
a while
doesn't
back
need
I
to
posted
be.
a poll on my Twitter asking.
Well,
You can have simple characters.
I mean, Bebop is arguably one of the biggest shows ever and has a pretty static cast.
Right. We talk about flat characters a lot. They're designed to be that way, and it's so that the focus is not on them, and that's fine. They're just the vehicle for other characters to pop up and do their thing and struggle because for whatever reason that's the point. So you could still do both, but then you're taking away the attention of whatever you're doing. So, like Mad Max is known for this. The Mad Max series. Mad Max is just some guy. He has no story. He's just a wanderer, and he encounters other people, and they have conflicts, and they need Max's help, and they solve their own problems with him, and it's about the journey of these other people, not necessarily him. He's literally the car sometimes, just to get them to where they need to go.
Yeah, except for the last one, where that was a little bit too extreme.
Oh, Thunderdome?
No, Fury Road.
Oh, Fury Road.
Oh.
Well, even
Yeah, I mean Fury Road, because Max had a great setup in the beginning, and then there was completely foregone for the Furiosa story, which was the whole movie.
Right. So it's not about him. That's right.
Yeah, but it could have been about him.
Yes.
They had set it up like that.
I know.
And that's I think that's why many people feel let down. You can use him still as a vehicle or as a co-element with some other character story, which is what you quite often do.
I see what you're saying
with these stories, but here it's you set him up with this good backstory that are also references to the previous movies, but then you reduce him to 1% of presence.
Yeah, he's
What I know of Max's backstory is he was kind of like a cop for a community that fell apart after the apocalypse. That's what I've heard, at least.
Yeah,
So the movies don't make entire sense timeline wise. They're too far apart with how the world develops. But it's like you could put the story together with this one consistent character if you didn't have the time problem that is all stretched out over so many years. But
well, that's the thing with the original films. He had some weird sort of engine, some special technology engine that would make him. It wasn't nitro, but it was pretty fast and it could do things differently. But other than that, he was just the literal vehicle to get the story from A to B. And even in Fury Road, he was the driver for half the thing anyway. So
but in the beginning of Fury Road, the car he starts with that he then loses,
right,
it still has that engine. So it's the idea is that this could, in theory, still be the same character.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay.
Although it doesn't make sense timeline wise.
Yeah, that's the thing. The same thing with Mass Effect 2, or really all the Mass Effect series, is Shepard's just there to constitute plot lines and other characters to do the thing that they're dramatic about, while he's just sort of pulling the trigger and pushing the story along. So it's, you could do both. You can do both. It just has to be woven and connected properly. But because of the nature of the stories, where they want the audience to have the generic hero character that is easy to discern and not overly complex, then it's like, all right, let's focus on what we can play around with, which are the ladies that were stolen away from the what the hell is his name?
Immortal Joe.
Immortal Joe. Yeah.
Oh, he just locked away the prettiest.
He wants to have the monopoly on breast milk or something. I don't know. Something like that.
He was using them for breeding, wasn't he?
Yeah,
I think
the
so.
best ones.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Thing is with Son Goku is in the original Dragon Ball, he is not the character who's looking for the Dragon Balls. That's Bulma.
Yeah.
The first character of the story he comes across, and that's how the adventure starts. So Son Goku doesn't give a crap about the Dragon Balls, and It's fine for him to be a flat character. He's straightforward. He doesn't change much. Yes, he does grow a little here and there, but it's not really that much. He still stays the same. He has the same outlook on life. He's a very stereotypical character in the sense of Japanese media. He's a glutton who cares about food. He likes to fight and win and get stronger. He has a weak point, contrary to Superman. So, because Superman, you need a special kryptonite. With Son Goku, you just need to grab his tail, and he's butter. It's only later in Dragon Ball Z where he trains his tail so much so that you can't do that anymore. But
Wait, who?
Son Goku, he trains his tail so that he
on the original on Dragon Ball. Okay.
Yeah, so he overcomes the weak point so that you can't just grab his tail and you win against him.
Which they give a nod to at the start of Dragon Ball Z, Raditz.
Well, this is the difference.
The thing is, he stays always true to his nature of he's the good guy. He cares. He wants to save people. End of line.
Yeah, the story is not focused about him being a good guy. Just him and his friends going on adventures, getting the Dragon Balls, bringing people back to life, fighting, and then repeat. So it's
in the original, yes.
It's not about him per se, even though he is the focus for the conflict because he's the main guy and the strongest. And that's the people want to watch it for the fights. That's the point. So when we talk about plot-related public issues or hurdles, I call them shortcomings, which means there's an impassable door. There's a fight I'm not strong enough to win. There's a magic potion I have to get or some magical sword to defeat the dragon. These are all public plot-related things. These are not intrinsic internal problems that people have to overcome. So if you don't have psychological issues or past experiences or anything like that where you have to address, that's what's holding you back, then it's not an issue. Then you just go on with the story and you focus on what's fun and interesting with that story. Not to say you can't do that, and I think Son Goku would be a much more robust character. He'd be more rounded character as a result. But if you're already attracted to the character for what the story is, which you kind of are since the first show, if you didn't like Dragon Ball, then it's fine. But once you jump to Dragon Ball Z, it's like, oh, this is what we're doing now. We're fighting. This is all it's about. So once you're into that, then great. You don't need all this other psychological bullshit to get in the way, or flashbacks and what he was like on his planet Namek, or who was doing what. Like, it's not that relevant. It's relevant to the villains and their motivations, why they're being evil, why they're fighting, because you need something. You need to explain why people are fighting. And for Goku, it's like, I want to fight. I just like it. That's my thing. Whereas the villains are like, I want to destroy stuff. I want to kill you. I want to prove I'm the best. And all this weird conqueror stuff. So that is what you need to build up and have all these villain characters and ally villain characters be. And that's the focus. So anyway.
And it's a lot. And someone in chat also mentioned that. I didn't get to say it yet. Dragon Ball is heavily based or inspired by the Journey to the West. You see, Son Goku is the Monkey King. Then you have Oolong, the Pig Demon. You have who's the Water Spirit? Krillin could be the reference to the Buddhist monk who is actually bringing in the Journey to the West, is supposed to bring the wisdom to the West. A water spirit could be what's his name in English?
A water spirit?
The old geezer.
Roshi.
Yeah, Master Roshi.
Oh. He used to be I thought he was a turtle. What was his martial art?
Yeah, he's a turtle.
Yeah.
Yeah, but in Journey to the West, the group is comprised of the Buddhist monk, who is supposed to bring this, the Buddhist wisdom, the Buddhist enlightenment to the West. And the gods sent him several supporters for his troop, for his adventure group. who start out as adversaries in many cases. One of them is a water spirit. One of them is was it a pig demon? Was someone who was cursed to look like a pig for the atrocities he did. He's a womanizer. And along in Dragon Ball, he's a panty thief. So that's where you get the womanizer bit. Then you have Son Goku himself, or Son Wukong, the Monkey King, who was trapped under a mountain because he was annoying the gods too much. And then, the water spirit.
All right. Here's Kyle Rocket. Thank you for the donation. Goku only cares about the 4 Fs: fighting, food, friends, and family. Fuck with either of the last 2, you're going to be begging for death. Okay. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's about all. Yeah, it's about all he is. Fighting, food, friends, and family. That's it. Everything else is questionable.
Well, kind of like Superman.
He's a little more nuanced than Superman.
Well, less eating and less comedy.
Yeah.
Start to go.
That's true.
Anyway, let's go.
The question, given the choice between Goku and Vegeta, who do you prefer and why? And while it was close, with over 4,000 votes cast, Vegeta won, with the majority of people who voted for Vegeta bolstering their choice by arguing Vegeta has grown and changed a considerable amount over his character arc. Goku has no arc. He remains the same. While most of this statement is technically correct, this led me to believe that on a fundamental narrative level, the character of Son Goku is deeply misunderstood by an enormous portion of the viewership.
Goku already did all his growth.
Yeah, I was gonna say, couldn't a lot of this be affected by the fact that most people grew up with Dragon Ball Z rather than Dragon Ball?
Yeah, Vegeta comes into the story in Dragon Ball Z, and which plays after Dragon Ball. And in Dragon Ball, the original, we have Son Goku's entire journey as a kid, and then it caps off with a tournament where he's an adult. And that's the final bit of the original Dragon
teenager.
Ball. Yeah, teenager. Well, he's not the little chibi guy anymore.
No, hell no. Yeah.
In the manga, it was just Dragon Ball, pretty much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so whatever arcs Son Goku went through, and he went through a lot of peril in the original anime, Vegeta's story is just starting.
Mm-hmm.
Here is Kyle Rocket. I feel like he did grow in terms of fighting motivations. Like at first, he did it to do it just to fight. And after gaining friends and starting a family, I feel like it's more so he wants to stay strong so he can protect those he loves. Okay.
In a way, yes, because it's like people make the argument like this one. It's like Goku didn't have much growth. It was minor, but it was there. And especially the point given that, yes, he had his growth already, his arc completed by the time Saiyan Saga came around and introduced Vegeta. The focus of development, you could argue, transferred from Goku to Vegeta, and to an extent Piccolo. But Goku did have some kind of development over the course of Dragon Ball. Going into Dragon Ball Z, his character was complete, at least in terms of Dragon Ball specifically. He went through chases in Z, but they were much smaller because the core of his character was already set in stone.
All right.
Arc. He's a horrific example of what writers call the flat character arc. In 2016, K.M. Weiland published a book called Creating Character Arcs, in which she describes 3 character arc methods. The positive character arc. This is the most common character arc found in fiction, where the character undergoes a positive change. The negative character arc, where the character undergoes a negative change. And finally, the flat character arc, which we will be discussing in this video. In order to make...
Okay, so when I describe them in my book, I'm talking about characters who are flat and rounded in general, and then we talk about arcs if they have one at all. So usually when you talk about a flat character, you don't talk about an arc because you don't need to. There's nothing there to discuss. Usually an arc deals with the change of a character from a psychological level, not from a physical level. There's no need to get into that unless it's addressed in the story. So if you think about the Karate Kid, what's his face? Daniel's son, yeah. He not only has to beef up physically, he also has to mature emotionally. And that's an arc. So he has to do multiple things to there's physical shortcomings and there's mental and psychological blocks he has to deal with. And he has to accept those weaknesses as a part of himself to go to the tournament and talk to his friends and ask for forgiveness for all the things he's done and all that stuff. So there's multiple things. When you're just talking about, I'm going to join a tournament and get strong, and that's all it is, that's not an arc. That's just facing an adversary and going on a journey to do so, like getting the sword, getting the teacher, training. That's like, you don't need an arc for that. If he's accepting the fact, yeah, I'll do everything you want me to do, he'll go through it, great. Kind of like with Rocky. Rocky was like, I want to go the distance. I want to prove to others I can go the distance. I don't want to beat the guy. I don't think I can do that, but I'm good enough right now to prove to others I can do it. All he has to do is train and train and train, go 10 rounds, and no one was expecting that. And that's he just needed to prove it to himself. He didn't care about so much the fighter or the people around him. He was just saying, I want to do X in his head. So that is a struggle of perseverance. It's not like, here's a hurdle, here's a hurdle, here's a hurdle. How do I psychologically deal with that? It's like, no, his mind is already made up. That's just another struggle physically he has to deal with. And that's why you see in the Rocky films, I haven't seen all of them, there's too many. It's pretty much like he's done. Like his arc is done. He doesn't have to do anything else. He's just dealing with the fallout of being an older man and trying to teach other people and getting into other fights. You could say there is maybe some Rocky 3, I think. When he has to get back into shape. He has to relearn what he's done. So we see this a lot. But even Rocky, unless there's a specific emotional conflict he has to deal with, it's not an arc. It's just a flat character. Anyway.
Sense of the flat character arc, it's important to understand the most common arc in storytelling first, the positive character arc, in which the character in question spends their entire journey overcoming a specific lie they hold to be true. Weiland calls this scriptwriting trope the lie the character believes.
Okay, so this is another one that I don't think I've ever heard of before until Weiland came by. You don't technically need this. This is a change of worldview, a change of ideology. This could be part of a character arc, but you don't necessarily need that one. Would it help? Sure. Having a lie or having an ideology that gets compromised in order to grow, fine, no problem. But it's not essential. Like look at Princess Bride. Wesley loves Buttercup. Buttercup loves Wesley. Nothing changes that. There's no doubt. They never lie to each other.
I think you could say that the simplest version of the lie the character believes, that is to realize and overcome, would be there's the dragon, I am too weak to defeat the dragon.
Maybe.
And the character realizes that, I actually can defeat the dragon.
Well, okay. The way that I see this character is the current character in the beginning of the story is a facade. And that is the lie. Not a specific actual lie, like a word or a phrase, but the persona of whomever is the lie. And then they go through their conflicts, they go through the gauntlet, and they get beaten up, and they fall, and they go, I got to get out of this hole. That is where we see the character start to grow, and it's a gradual growth. It's not like, boom, now I have to make a change. It's I'm weak. And the physical weakness is always the most easiest to talk about because it's obvious, it's clear. It's like he's not Captain America. The problem with Captain America is, boom, as soon as he gets the serum, that's it. Like there's no further training, I think. He just has to go through the motions, and even then, Steve Rogers is already mentally there. He's already a hero in his mind. So
that was the thing, that he was mentally, emotionally already a hero. He just lacked the physical capabilities.
Right. So again, another flat character who we don't care if he doesn't have, emotional conflicts or hang-ups. He is the hero we need. And getting the serum happened to make him the physical hero he is. So
because that's the reliable character.
I mean, I pretty much just read through all of Berserk, and I don't think there's ever a point where Guts believes a lie that he has to unbelieve to grow as a person.
Right.
I think really the biggest growth is when he starts protecting other people and he realizes that the weight of that is more heavy than anything he's done in his entire life.
Yeah, the companionship of those people.
Right. Yeah, with Collateral, I bring up again with the hitman. His lie or his worldview is so rigid, he's unable to compromise that ideology, and that's what causes his downfall. Whereas the cab driver has to take on all these risks to get his friend back, or the girl he likes, and go and rise to the challenge. So, and finally accept the fact that, if I'm going to start my own business, I got to do these things and get my life in order. So
I would say that this kind of character arc about the lie is probably more common. Probably more common among rival characters than it is among characters themselves, due to the fact that the rival kind of has to overcome what they believe in the first place.
This is specific to a thought or a saying or an ideology. You can use that as a lie, like I don't know, true love will. It's kind of like the theme of a movie sometimes, like true love will overcome all, and you just go with that. And maybe the lesson is it won't overcome all, but just because someone doesn't believe in it doesn't mean you don't have to, or you can keep believing in it. So it's kind of like, what is the strength of your faith? How far does that take you? And does it require another person for that to be relevant or to be effective? So there's lots of lessons we can learn from an ideology, but we're really talking about character development as a person or a persona, not as an ideology per se. So this is one component of the persona, and that's why I find it a very limited understanding of whatever Weiland is trying to explain here. So it's not wrong. It's just very limited for the discussion this guy's trying to have. And I really would never use her talking about Dragon Ball. It doesn't work very well. Anyway.
A wonderful of this positive character arc is observed with the character of Vegeta. For his entire existence, Vegeta has been someone who believed that power was the only important thing in life, and to pursue anything else would be a fool's errand. This was the lie Vegeta believed, and throughout his life, this lie was reinforced by the world around him. Through pursuing this end, Vegeta sacrifices everything to achieve his goal. It's his belief in this lie that leads him to die on planet Namek. When faced with the reality his choices have led him to, he crumbles and ultimately falls. Vegeta's lie was that he believed the only value to be found in life was through the pursuit of power, and his arc was about the journey he took in order to overcome this lie and to embrace what was actually true, to find value in those he loved. And in that moment, the viewer and Vegeta share a much-needed catharsis. As Weiland writes, the positive character arc is about the lie the character believes, which he will spend the entire journey overcoming. However, unlike the positive character arc, which tells the story based on a lie the character believes, the flat character arc is about the truth.
I mean, wouldn't the lie that Vegeta believed more so was that the Saiyan race was superior to any other, and their ideals were better?
Well, that's
what he overcomes.
Well, that's it. Well, that's basically the same thing. Coming from someone that has seen all of it the whole way through.
Yeah,
that's more or less it. But he just specified it a bit too much.
That's referring to Vegeta, because we know Goku is usually the strongest out of all of them. So, I mean, he's saying, I am not the strongest, but Saiyans are like this is more nuanced to being a species. We know there's all kinds of other species and gods in Dragon Ball that are stupidly powerful. So
I mean, you could argue that part of it, that the main lie in this situation with Vegeta is that he believed what he believed because of the way the Saiyan species had progressed up to that point. Hence the lie, because almost the entire Saiyan species believed it. It was a cultural thing that had been building up to that point until their destruction.
Well, the Saiyan society also has like a kind of a weird thing when it comes to interpersonal relations. They don't really develop very close ones. And I was thinking that was part of what he overcome, was that those relationships do make people stronger.
Yeah, but because it made them stronger, because they're more of initially they were more of a primitive culture, but that belief that the only way to rise to the top being power, that's what the whole thing about procreating to create more stronger warriors came from. It was all at the root of the pre-Frieza Saiyan culture.
I also don't see Goku as this symbol or personification of the truth. He's just a guy, while he faces.
He has no reason to change his beliefs and outlooks on anything, because it's already quite positive about life.
Well, he's not exactly intellectual. He doesn't really ponder existence very much. He's just,
Remember, he hit his head on a fucking mountain when he crash landed on Earth. After that, when he was he was already with old man Gohan at that point, and he accidentally dropped Goku off a cliff.
That's why
which is its own thing.
It's the whole joke of the whole thing, that Goku is not very smart.
Yeah, and that incident is the root of that entire stereotype.
Mm-hmm.
All right,
and that's okay.
And that's okay, because there is a reason for it. But the point is that despite that, he was still able to persevere in life. That's the thing.
Yeah, and as the kid character in the original Dragon Ball, he's supposed to be funny, not have the deep, horrible stories that Guts goes through.
Yeah, in Goku's case, like most of his story is well before puberty, and even when it does kick in, it's off screen.
Yeah, and then you go by the general thing something we see sometimes. So with Harry Potter, we see with other franchises that when the next installment comes, it's as if it's for an older audience. Like the kids that bought the stuff or got the stuff when it came out, they're now older, so the stuff that comes now is written in a way that is more appealing to them.
Mm-hmm.
And that is kind of the difference between Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z.
all right. Anyway.
I tried to definitely go more towards the audience that have been there since the beginning.
Yeah, so
it's more serious. It's more serious. It's more focused on fighting, and you have the more mature type of character arc with Vegeta. It's okay.
Yeah, and again, it's like it's not like Goku went through absolutely zero development. There are some moments here and there where it's like he has those realizations that, things are changing, and he does end up adapting one way or the other.
Either way, I don't see him as a symbol or representation of the truth of something. It's just a guy who's been established, and he has no philosophical qualms about reality. And
he's very.
That's not what he's saying.
Well,
Justice Goku is about is also very, very simplistic. Someone hits innocent puppy, Goku is mad.
Yeah,
There's nothing more to it.
that's
Well, I
fine.
wouldn't go that far, but it's like some kind of like incident here and there, and he jumps into action.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Someone does something mean and Goku is upset.
I mean,
He has a very simple personal philosophy, and I think it might be because of the kind of Buddhist roots of the show.
of the series in general, yeah. And to go back to Wis's point about it's like something happens, he jumps into action. Even Dragon Ball Super in the beginning shows that some bastards try to rob him on his own property, and he defends himself.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
The character believes. In the flat character arc, the protagonist already has a handle on what the truth is, and he will use that truth to overcome the challenges of the plot, and probably to transform a lie-burdened world. One of the defining features of the flat arc is that the character begins his journey already believing in a certain truth.
I still have a problem with the term flat arc because that sounds like an oxymoron.
Yeah, we don't
flat arc
say
is a line.
yeah, we don't say
not an
flat arc. We
arc.
say flat character, and this is where I'm getting a little
Yeah.
confused.
Yeah, because an arc is naturally curved, and so it can be staunched, I think is the word.
Yeah,
But when you say flat, there is no such thing as a flat arc. That would be a line, and a line is a line.
I'm gonna have to reread some Weiland, but maybe he means a flat character arc, not a flat arc.
Yes, no, that's what it means. Flat.
Well,
character
yeah,
arc.
but even that is not an arc.
It's the attempt at one. I don't know. It's just getting a little confusing.
No, it's then that's just a character
Yeah,
because there is no arc, there is no change happening.
It's like you're like Picard in that one episode of TNG. It's like an arc is not flat. There are 4 lights. But anyway,
all right.
Son Goku,
All right,
enthusiastic, innocent, and motivated person who believes that he can always be better today than he is tomorrow. And
He can always be better today. What? No.
I think he got that backwards.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think so. That doesn't make any sense.
not in a diminished, deprecating way, he thrives on knowing he can be better tomorrow than he is today. And these ideas
What? That's the right one. What is he?
Yeah, that is the right one. What?
What is?
Did he not catch that in editing?
Yeah.
whoops.
have not changed since he was first introduced to us in the mid-80s. To help prove that I'm not making these points up, here are some other characters that fit this mold too. Forrest Gump is an honest, compassionate, and determined individual who wants to find and be with the person he loves, Jenny.
Does he? Like, kinda.
where are we?
We're watching.
we
That
switched
was like
movies.
his goal for the
It's kind of a weird
half of the
jump-off
movie.
point.
Yes.
I don't even know.
Yes, it
Okay.
is.
I see him as I see him as just a guy who's bouncing around scenarios, and he does his Forrest stuff because he's an idiot, and stuff happens around him, which is amazing. And you're like, okay, that's entertaining because he doesn't really care. He's just sort of like, that's weird. I'm gonna run through this battlefield carrying my friend. It's like, all right, I'm gonna do that for my
I
entire.
mean, I guess they're similar in that way. They're both simple, honest,
Yeah.
determined. But
yeah,
beyond that, there's not much.
exactly. Yeah.
Alabama.
And of the film to the end, his outlook on life never falters, reflected in the famous quote, "Life is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get until you take that first."
Okay, that's not the quote. It's you never know what you're gonna get, and then he stops.
Yeah. Why'd you change the quote?
How could you
Did you watch
screw
the
up a
movie?
quote? It's a quote. You just copy and paste.
You didn't watch the movie.
I guess. Yeah, he made up the quote. You don't have to tell me you eat chocolate. I think we understand the metaphor.
Oh,
So Forrest Gump can turn into Super Saiyan as well.
he took it from from memory and then thought that this is the one without checking it.
Yeah.
Also, you put the what is the quotation mark comes after the period,
This
not
is
before.
true. This is true.
And he also made your instead of you
Oh
are.
no, he forgot the.
Oh no, he forgot the apostrophe.
Oh my god, did he just rush this out the door and didn't think about it?
But it
Okay.
just doesn't make any
Seems
sense because
so.
like the rest of the video is validated enough.
If you wanna teach people about writing, and your video makes 1.4 million views, let someone spell check and grammar check your stuff, please.
Oh, he's Irish. Does it really
You
matter?
don't- It's not. If you want to teach people about writing, the last thing you should do is typos.
That's a
Is
good.
it just
It's
another
like
move from
insulting
the
someone
IRA?
about their writing. You don't want to make a typo when you do that.
Yeah, believe it or not,
Mhm.
the last few months of writing a book, all you're doing is just rereading all your sentences so that
Yeah.
they look right. Everything else you wanted to say is done. You're just
Yeah.
making sure grammar looks fine.
Oh God. And yeah, because and you get blind for your own writing. That's why you need to take breaks
Yeah.
between that.
You need someone
Um,
else to look at your stuff because you always get something
Yeah.
wrong.
It's like an artist who flips his drawing or painting upside down to see what the fuck did I do wrong, because you skew perspective otherwise in all proportions, and it is similar with text, with writing. You need to flip it a bit. You need to take a break from looking at it. Like I noticed from musicians I talked with lots back in the day, and when they were writing songs, it was always when they were done, when they were making a new album, leave the song there for 3 days after you say you're done. Leave it there for 3 days and do not listen at it at all. Do not engage with it. And after those 3 days, you listen to it once, and then you notice what the hell is wrong with it still, and then you rework it. And that's a process you repeat a couple times if you want to make something really good. And if you have this one line, and there's already in this one sentence there's 2 errors. If you wrote a paper, that is enough to invalidate it. To get, yep, you have too many errors in this thing. We're not taking it. We're not going to bother with it.
I'd like to point out this guy is probably big enough that somebody else edits his work. So
All right.
So it's one
I
of the
would still imagine
sweatshops.
like
Yeah, I'm really sorry for nitpicking so hard, but this is your topic. Writing is your topic, and these errors, these tiny errors, are unforgivable. If
this
you
guy
made some
most
stuff
likely
about
pays
something
an
else,
editor, like I said. So like you're paying an editor, like you would want to make sure it's right before you upload it, wouldn't you?
yeah, if you were trying to tell us something about math, many really good mathematicians can be dyslexic, or if you're just trying to tell us something about art in the sense of painting or architecture, I'm going to forgive these errors. But not if you want to tell us something about writing.
You know, I'm looking at his video schedule. It's not like he uploads like once every day either, like some content creators try to do. He's got enough time to go over this stuff.
All right. Anyway.
Bite. Jones is a determined and courageous man who believes in doing what is right. From the outset, these are what his ideals are, and what makes his story compelling isn't how he changes, but how the
Okay, well, he doesn't have much psychologically to deal with aside from his fear of snakes, which does get addressed. So to me, that's just enough for an action adventure film.
Yeah.
I don't need the hero to go on a literal hero's journey when he's
Yeah,
usually
Indiana
has a-
Jones is more like one of those characters that you kind of insert into a story that's sort of like an anthology.
Yeah, and Indiana Jones is in every movie you have the big adventure story, and you have some sort of social story, some social struggle that he also has to go through. Like the most prominent, obvious, is with his dad in the Last
The
Crusade.
Last Crusade.
Yeah, that's the most obvious. But he's not he, as a character, he is not growing. He's just making peace with his dad.
Right. And
But that's not his character isn't changing from that in a substantial way.
same with the was it the German femme fatale? What's her name again? She has the same idea. Another conflict that he has to overcome, and unfortunately, she is faulted by her own misgivings, her own desire for power, or whatever the heck happened to her at the end. She falls down the hole in the ground.
Elsa?
Was it Elsa? Yeah.
Is that her name?
I don't remember. A very hot blonde German lady who's seducing Jones for his knowledge of the Grail.
I can reach it. I can reach it.
Yeah, it's like, no, you can't. You're gonna die. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
okay.
In the video game, the LucasArts adventure game, you can actually get the Grail at the end by using the whip.
I'm trying to remember. I know I
Really?
played that. I know I
Yeah.
played that one as well as the Atlantis one. But
Because it's all because of the limitations of how to make the game.
sure.
They had the dad dying in the entrance hall with the broken seal, and Indy is getting the Grail with the whip to then use it to heal his dad. That's how it was done there. So the Grail wasn't lost in that story.
Right.
In the video game version.
Okay.
Just
For the
went
round
to Warehouse
to these
13.
characteristics he possesses. Saitama is an infinitely powerful but otherwise ordinary guy with strong morals and ideals for what he thinks a hero should be. Bored by conventional crime fighting, he yearns for the thrill of a real challenge. And despite never actually getting that, his personality and ideals don't waver. He is human, but he is also a real hero.
Okay, but he doesn't.
He's also part of a parody story.
Yeah, you need him
that's
to
all right.
be the focus of the joke because that's his plight. That's his problem. So if you make him learn from that, then there's no longer a show, and then he just goes on with his life. And he does have struggles. Like he does have to get money. He does have to get food and not blow up a city block again. So
Yeah, by accident, by fighting other monsters and stuff.
yeah,
And I think he deep down has accepted the collateral damage is inevitable at some point
well, he has an
Yeah,
entire
with
dream.
the extremely big things.
Yeah, his entire
for
dream where
example.
he's fighting some underground creatures, and he's finally excited because they're strong.
Yeah.
And he wakes up, and they come out, and they're not strong. And he's like, oh, fuck.
It's pathetic.
Yeah.
The real
Yeah,
And at the end of the first season, he fights the Ouroboros and gives him the fight that he wants.
Right, but he does have conflicts that he can't solve. He fights with King.
Yeah.
In the video games, he always loses. He has to run around the city looking for crime because if he doesn't do that, his was it D status or E status as a
Let's see, I think.
his status
Yeah,
as
he
a
has to
hero
fill his,
is gonna-
fill his quota.
yeah, it's going to expire on him. So he has conflicts he has to deal with, but he's not the focus of the narrative. That's why
It's just in the first season that there is more focus on him because he's being established as a character.
right, and that's why.
Well, he also has the issue that lots of people think he's a faker, but that was an issue
Sure.
he created.
Right, because he wanted to protect the other heroes. What was that guy's like? We all love Moomin Rider because he's just a guy. He's not super. He just has a bike with a helmet, and he's giving everything he's got. He's pathetic, but that's he doesn't care. This is basically the heart of Saitama right there, and Saitama's like, "Oh, you did your best. You did what you could."
Yeah. Because
isn't
Moomin Rider could have become Saitama.
Eventually, he might. Yeah, that's the thing. We don't know. And
And
Isn't Moomin Rider basically a Kamen Rider parody?
I guess, yeah.
I think he's meant to be.
Yeah.
It
Isn't
is
Moomin
fun,
Rider
yeah.
the guy right here in the still?
That's
Yeah,
him.
he
He's right
is.
there, yeah.
That's it.
yeah, he's holding
Okay,
it.
yeah, I was right. Yeah.
This
And,
is from the Seeking fight.
It is the
Yes.
most dramatic part of the series is Moomin Rider's fight with the Sea King or whatever. And
Okay.
like he doesn't do much, but it's like he's pushing himself to fight. That's what we want.
He does the Rocky thing where he just keeps standing back up.
Yeah, I do remember. I think Moomin Rider is essentially a tokusatsu parody. in some way.
It is nice to see that the author knows what he's doing, and he's giving all these. There's so many characters, so many villains in these in One Punch Man that he just keeps coming up with them, and they're the focus because once you have a god running around, you cannot make that interesting because he has no challenge. So
that was always the thing about One.
He
has a really good grasp on storytelling, but he can't draw.
Right.
Yeah, and that's the kind of, you could almost say, heartwarming thing at the end of season 1, because he understands the villain monster, the Ouroboros was his name, the one-eyed guy.
That's what I said. He gives Ouroboros the fight that he always wanted.
Yeah, because Saitama understands this guy is for his experience so strong he never has a challenge. So I'm gonna give him one. I'm gonna remove him because he's a villain, but at least I'm gonna give him the fulfillment I can't have myself.
And that's why Ouroboros says he was holding back the whole time.
Yeah, well, Saitama ends with a barrage of normal punches.
Yeah.
That's kind of the joke. Like, he's giving him not light punches, but hey, normal punches, yay.
Just eliminates his body. He's like
that's still normal punches still means no effort.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Saitama's real struggles we get more and more glimpses of in the later seasons, where he has the non-fighting moments, because his struggles are mental. How do I have normal life? How do I have fun? How am I a hero? Because, well, there's these other people who don't have the struggle in the fight, but they're throwing themselves at it, like I did against the crab guy in the first episode. So, why not give them some of the admiration that they need? Like Moomin Rider here. That's the point. Saitama is
and that's why he takes on the faker persona.
Yeah, he's giving the win to Moomin Rider because he knows this is a real hero.
Which is also ironic because they do something similar, at least for the King character, where he's always involved in these scenarios, which I think even involves Saitama many times.
Yeah, it's pure accident. Saitama always accidentally saves King in a way that makes it look like to onlookers as if King had done the deed.
And the great thing about King is that he is in fact pretty smart. He's not stupid, but he's scared out of his mind.
He's scared out of his mind, and he's a completely normal human. He has no powers.
He's just really good at video games and strategy, I guess.
And he's a big-looking, scary dude.
With a scar on his face. He wants to play dating sims and fight games. It's great.
And I love that there's this developing friendship between King and Saitama.
Yeah. And Saitama keeps losing. And King's like, oh, I have to play you again. Fine, whatever. And Saitama's like, I'm going to beat you this time. It's like, nope.
Yeah, and the character who has the main arc is Genos, the cyborg.
Yeah.
Yeah, like in any other show, Genos would probably be the main character.
Mm-hmm.
I just love how Saitama is like approaching the guy, because like he just can't fucking shut up. So it's like Saitama is the perfect representation of the audience.
Yeah, and Genos acts like an otaku.
Well, all the standard tropes of anime, like announcing your special technique every time. Everyone
long backstories, 20 words or less.
Trixie in the chat says King does have power. He has maxed out intimidate and luck.
Yeah, or bad luck.
I don't think he did that on purpose.
Yeah, he gets caught up in everything.
Yeah, the King has negative luck.
Yeah, it's weird how he survives all the time.
He has a blessed version of Murphy's luck. Everything that can go wrong will go wrong, but he'll come out the victor somehow.
Yeah. Plus, he gets money for just being around.
Yay! He's the what is he? He's the A+ top hero.
I think
Yeah, he's the rank 1
third.
hero.
Yeah, he's like the third or fourth strongest or something.
I thought he was number 1.
No,
I'm pretty sure he's 1.
Blast is.
Oh wait,
number
no,
one.
we don't know who's number 1, right?
It's got to be
I think
Blast.
that's it.
Yeah, we don't know, but the speculation is Blast. The second one is Tsukiyomi. And the third one is Metal Knight, I think. I can't remember.
Yeah, so in theory, everybody believes King has the power that Saitama has.
Apparently, yeah.
And that's a wonderful joke. So you can't repeat that forever. And the good thing about anime is that it doesn't repeat it forever.
Yeah, and this is what we really have to talk about if we're talking about character arcs or hero arcs. What is the genre? What is the adventure? Is it an adventure? Is it a coming of age story? Is it a man against a civilization or an opposing force like a kingdom or something in politics? Like what is going on? You can't just start talking about like Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome or any other stories if you understand the genre that you're in.
Yeah, and things like complex anime like One Punch Man do several of these things at the same time with different characters.
Yeah, and with Dragon Ball, it's pretty much just, this is a show about a bunch of people fighting each other.
Well, Dragon Ball Z.
Well,
Dragon Ball was still adventures.
After Z.
Have adventures, see weird things, meet weird people.
And that's
Z
fine.
Have a nosebleed on the Invisible Man.
Well, that's fine. If you want to have a show about that, that's great. But the whole dynamic changes. The focus of the character or the main character changes. What a character should be in these stories. It's if you're going to tell a story about zombies or fighting zombies off in a post-apocalyptic scenario, and it's a drama, then that's the focus. That's how do you survive? Not the technicalities, but the emotions of the people, how they get by their day. Not, do I have enough food? What's the technical aspect of growing food in an environment like this and finding water and shelter?
You'll notice in a lot of zombie stories, the shorter they are, the simpler they are. But as they get longer, you'll stop focusing on the zombies eventually, and you'll focus on other things like other people coming into conflict.
Right. That's why you don't have slasher zombie flicks, because it would just get boring after the next hour. Why would you watch that? Just a bunch of gore with more zombies coming at you at different angles with different abilities, and then you have a different weapon to stop that, and it just goes on and on and on. I was like, that's not interesting. Who cares?
That's the part that because I'm currently watching Buffy, which annoyed me about that show. For you go in 3 seasons, and none of the main cast has a constant standard assortment of the basic equipment. Two or even 3 stakes, because you lose them in a fight very easily, across some holy water. They're not running around with that constantly, at least at night.
Compare that.
And they don't have a stash of stakes in the library. That's also always in every fight. It's like you have to make a new one or find a new one or rip off a chair's leg or something. Like I would expect after 3 seasons, you have your stash of that, not just your little weapons locker with your Morning Star and your crossbow. No, you have a bunch of stakes lined up like firewood. Just take a new one, take a new one, take a new one. Nope.
Right.
They are in some of the first episodes. They're sitting there and like carving a few, but there's never a what's it called? Not backlog.
A plan.
There's never a stash of them.
It's
There's
always
never a stash of the most basic resource for vampire fighting, which is having stakes.
It's always.
I mean the little wooden things.
It's always freak of the week. They learn out what this freak does by asking the librarian guy, and they figure out how to deal with it. Whereas you see that in the Angel series, they are, was it 2 vampires? There's a god who's running around.
That's season 4. That's starting season 4.
In Angel, yeah. Well, it's much more specialized. Like they actually
Angel starts in parallel with season 4, and I'm just starting to get into it. I'm just at the end of season 3 right now.
I never really watched Buffy, but I did watch Angel because
I watched neither when it came out. because I saw the episodes of the first season and thought this is crap.
Yeah.
I thought this was like the movie. Because, yes, I was a kid, but I liked the movie. People will probably laugh at me for that. And I hated the series. That's why I then didn't bother watching it.
All right. Anyway, let's go.
What I find really interesting about all of these characters is none of them are really praised or remembered for being great characters. Instead, people will often say Forrest Gump is an amazing movie, or that One Punch Man was a great TV series.
What
However,
characters
a
do you mean?
fundamental difference between Forrest Gump and One Punch Man is that one
means
is a
like
movie
Indiana
and
Jones
the other is a
stuff.
television show. Rarely will you see someone say that the character Forrest Gump is a bad one, but people will flat
Yeah,
out
I know.
dismiss
This
One
point
Punch
is
Man
out of
on its
nowhere.
main character's very premise alone.
And I mean,
Personally,
I
I
should be
think the
talking to
length of a
people
TV
talking
series
outside
versus a
comedy,
movie
right?
plays a large
I'm
part.
sorry,
Too. It doesn't really make sense.
Yeah, but right now he's like distinguishing between the different mediums. It's like that kind of doesn't matter for what you're trying to say for this video.
I don't understand where he gets that these are not great characters thing from. I don't know who's ever
He's
said
saying
that.
they're not praised a lot by people.
Well-
That's what he's saying.
Okay. So,
They're beloved movies.
But it still doesn't really make that much sense.
well, the thing with the voting he did was with Vegeta and Goku. And people like Vegeta because Vegeta had to struggle. He had to train to get up to the level that everyone else was. Just to compare.
And again, like I said, most people were introduced to the show when Vegeta was introduced.
Perhaps.
I think Dragon Ball blew up in Germany when Dragon Ball Z came out here. We had it in the original release order. We had the original Dragon Ball show first. And as I learned the last time we talked about Dragon Ball here on the Smudcast, that in the US, for some reason, they thought that airing Dragon Ball Z before the original Dragon Ball show was somehow sensible. I think that they just wanted to go for the
until after Z came
teenage
Essentially,
audience.
yes. It's like you don't really need too much of the background information for Z.
Yeah, not really, but it's just. So from my perspective, it's weird that you would tell this story in a different order when you have this product. You have the product for kids, which is fine, and then you have the one for teenagers. And maybe that's because the original Dragon Ball.
Because I don't think they thought it would be popular. I think that's why we didn't get it.
That's
think
one
it's-
thing. And like there's also like video games. Like not all the Final Fantasies got ported to the West. Like
Yeah,
some got
and-
just missed out on together because it just
all
wasn't
three of
popular
them.
enough.
There are all
Yeah,
the Secret of
three-
Mana games beyond the first, but with the original Dragon Ball anime, I could imagine that it also didn't pass the very crude censors in the US because you have a lot of little kids jokes, you have a lot of panty jokes, you have a lot of other sex jokes with Master Roshi and Bulma.
You also have characters like Goku just their penis outright shows.
Well,
Yeah.
That would not
Which
get
is-
past
which
the
is an-
censors.
Yeah, which was an innocent thing back in the day, like Vicky and the Vikings, the strong men, is a
Yeah,
technically
no, in
it's also an
America,
anime,
nudity
but
is
it
just a no-no.
was made for Europe, for Germany. And there's an episode where Vicky is also swimming in the sea naked and playing with a bunch of seals that he befriended. And there you can see, oh, he's actually a boy, because when I watched it, and Vicky was very beloved among kids and adults alike at the time when it ran. I, as a kid, wasn't sure, is he a boy, is he a girl? But it really didn't matter, to be honest. But there you could see, oh, he's actually a boy. Okay.
Well,
And
Yeah,
thing
nudity
is,
is just a no-go here in America for some reason. Like
Oh.
even Earthbound, they censored Ness being naked.
Yes,
in
they
Spiral
they
World.
put a pajama on him.
well, to get
yeah, and at the same time, you have all the pedophile scandals in Hollywood.
Well-
Great.
to get back to the
Right.
topic, which is these characters aren't really remembered like Indiana Jones. The story isn't about Indiana Jones's character. In fact, I think the actor who plays him is probably the perfect actor because he's sort of like I got to put up with this crap again. I got to.
Yeah.
I got to deal with some ancient curse. I got to deal with some guy with a sword. And he just wants to get to the truth of things. He wants to find out where the relic has been, what it's trying to do, what's the magic behind it.
And then put it in a museum.
And study it. Yeah, and learn from it. Yeah. That's all he wants. But he has to go through all this crap.
In that way, Harrison Ford was the best choice.
Yeah, he does not care.
He's very apathetic about things.
He does not give a fuck.
So we don't need him to like deal with his personal issues. But if you're going to have like a fear of snakes or flying or heights, it's like, yeah, that's fine. Mm-hmm. We get it. Because that's not the focus of the story. So that's understood. Like, this is not some mystery to the people.
Well, Indiana's fear of snakes isn't even like a character flaw. It's a joke.
It's treated as, oh my God, I don't want to do this. And he has to do it. It's like,
It's the peak of his I don't want to be here attitude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Forrest Gump.
The sword fight.
That's Harrison Ford with most of his characters.
Yeah, I know. But with Forrest Gump, he is a lovable idiot. He is not there to have some great revelation, although he does have some philosophy here and there unexpectedly. Like, he has another one. It's like, stupid is as stupid does, because his mom taught him that. He doesn't know what that means, I guess.
And Forrest, for the most part, doesn't understand what's going on around him.
And that's what makes it entertaining, because he's just an innocent guy in all these crazy scenarios. And it's fun to see that. He's like okay, President Kennedy, ooh, cool. And he gets shot the next week. And like, okay.
Yeah, I've heard I've never read the book. I've just been told that there's even more crazy stories in that would be too outrageous for the movie.
Yeah, that's
like he's even in space there.
Oh my God!
Like he's pulling the full Homer Simpson.
Well, when he's running, like he's in his crazy stilts, and then Jenny tells him to run, and he's just like breaking out of them, and he turns into this superhuman runner, and you're like, that's
Run, Forrest!
That doesn't make any sense. It's fun to see.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's like, okay, cool. Forrest is awesome. Like,
yeah, you can't go from it being in stilts to suddenly being,
Yeah, and he
Usain
goes
Bolt.
through. I think one of the wonderful things about Forrest Gump is that he's this guy who's not very smart, but he just goes through life, doesn't understand mostly what's going on around him. He just does what he thinks is right in the moment and inspires people all around to have the craziest ideas. But he's just himself. He's not interested in that. He's just like the thing where he just starts running one day and doesn't stop running and runs across the whole country. And there's a whole cult created around that because he keeps running and they keep running after him. And then at some point he just stops and asks, why'd you stop? Well,
I'm tired.
I don't feel like running anymore. Just go home. What about us now? What's the message? I don't know. Go home.
As opposed to Indy, where it's like in that we're gonna mention it's like that in that whole like sword fight. Just put the bullet in the motherfucker.
Yeah, that's also a manifestation of the I don't want to be here attitude. This is stupid. I just want to get the thing done.
Yeah, and with Saitama,
because Harrison Ford had the runs.
Oh yeah, that scene. Yeah, that's right.
Oh yeah.
With Saitama, that's part of the joke of the show. He's so powerful, he can't have a normal fight. He can't enjoy his job, and all the crazy stuff around him is just the stuff that happens as a result of his fight or he doesn't even care about. So we don't need to know the inner workings of his mind. He is a hero through and through. That's it. He's a hero.
Yeah.
He's always going to be a hero. And we saw that reflected in Moomin Rider, who's just as pure-hearted as he is. And that's it. That's all you need.
Oh, that's a good one in the chat. Trixie said, instead of Samuel L. Jackson, imagine if Indiana Jones was in Snakes on a Plane.
Oh, he'd get killed. I don't give a shit. I just don't care.
Yeah, either get killed or just crash the plane and get it over with.
Yeah, but one interesting bit about that silly movie, absolutely silly movie, is that when it was pitched to Samuel L. Jackson, he said, I'll be in it, but you keep the working title. Because Snakes on a Plane was just a working title. But he said, nope, I'll be in it, but only if you keep the working title.
Didn't they try to Didn't they try to market that as like a horror movie too?
That's
I recall
a
them
silly
trying to,
idea.
I think.
That's a really silly idea.
Oh god.
In all honesty.
But
Anyway.
I love that he demanded it. This is a silly title. You keep that.
All right. Anyway,
I mean,
this,
you can't. Well, to end off at that point, it's like you can't blame him for trying to double down on like the silliness of the title for a movie like that.
Mm-hmm.
he knows what he's getting into. Yeah. So anyway,
Yeah.
These films are not mysteries to us. They're not mysteries to children. They're very clear cut. Same with the shows. So we don't need character arcs. It's not essential.
And I think the thing he's talking about here, where he's saying these characters don't get praised very often, I think they just don't get praised very often because there's not much to talk about.
And their time is over. They're not the hype movies anymore. Forrest Gump was talked about up and down when it came out. It's now, what, 20 years later?
Yeah. The book, the sequel to the book came out, I think, a few years later. And it's about his kid who's smart, like really smart.
Oh.
So.
Yeah, I mean, we don't talk as much about Rocky anymore. We don't talk much about names. God,
Taxi Driver, Goodfellas.
To be fair, Indy 5 is coming soon. To be fair,
The Room.
No, it doesn't.
Oh,
It isn't.
God.
You
it
lie.
doesn't exist.
It won't have existed.
I can't believe Harrison Ford said yes to that.
Quantum plus perfect. It won't have existed.
I mean,
Ford is
It
like
won't
a
have
stupid-
had existed.
I mean, okay. Yeah, I get the joke. You hate it before it even comes out, but it's like if the rumor from earlier in the year is true that that's the last thing Kathleen Kennedy's doing before she leaves Lucasfilm,
Yeah.
and that's the
Yeah.
last thing.
And we can just ignore that it ever happened, and then we
Yeah,
keep the trilogy.
Yeah, we keep the trilogy. Yeah, but that's at least that.
Yeah.
If it's true, then that'll be the last thing that has any connection to her that we can just power through and it'll all be
Yeah.
over.
Yeah, well, and another example is Rambo. Amazing thing when it came out, held up for years. Still a good movie. We don't talk about it anymore. And regarding other great characters, well, we have to dig them up again. Where every time if the feminists come out with there are no good strong female women characters, and then we have
the
to
last
dig them.
Rambo was kind of...
And then we always have to dig up Sigourney Weaver and what she played and all the other great characters because
I was going to ask:
these people don't know anything.
Was Last Blood really that bad?
It was, well, it would take too long. Let's just go with video. But yeah, it was dull.
Okay.
Like, it was a very
Something like
simplistic story and it doesn't really make sense.
All right.
Wow, for someone to fuck up that bad with a simple story in a Rambo movie, my God.
Well, it was Stallone himself, so...
Oh, well,
Expect TV show's characters to grow and develop over the series in order to justify its long length. Specific emphasis is put on shows like Dragon Ball, Naruto, or One Piece because their theme is centered around self-improvement. Whereas in a film, it's not as noticeable if their characters don't develop.
That's a pretty weak argument. Most stories are about character growth anyway, so some flavor of self-improvement is going to happen. Even if there is no discernible psychological revelation, like Rocky, he's just going the distance. That's all he's doing. He's just training.
yeah, there's always going to be some development, some change, no matter what.
Over the runtime. If we look closely at the character of Son Goku, we observe from the very beginning of the show his character is fundamentally at odds with the story and world around him. This is a writing technique specifically used for characters that utilize a flat arc. And so while Goku himself believes the truth from the outset, pretty much all those he interacts with believes a lie. And the intrigue for the journey comes from Goku's sensibilities changing the world around him for the better. For example, or if you want an even earlier example, here's this. Despite Master Roshi having taken a considerable amount of his life to perfect the Kamehameha, Goku managed to learn it with relative ease. However, the most noticeable example of
because
Goku
Roshi is a
changing
human.
the world around him using the truth he has.
Well,
is
we
right
didn't
wing.
know.
On top of changing the world around him, he also...
We didn't know he was an alien at that point.
Yeah.
Also, when we develop things, it usually takes longer to develop it than it would to learn it afterwards. Anyway.
Yeah, it just proves that with how just from seeing it, that just proves that he does have the potential to be much better. It's like he's a fast learner. Okay, what's the problem with that? That just means he is at the end of the day, especially early on, he is a prodigy when it comes to fighting. Essentially.
And
Yeah, he's
still
a
better.
prodigal fighter.
Mhm.
Yeah, still better than Ray.
Then
Because
what?
with Goku, people are at least impressed and question why is he learn so fast? Why is he so insanely strong?
It's genetic.
In Dragon Ball, the people at least question that.
Yeah, but in Dragon Ball you can accept it a bit more because that is part of the character. That was a natural part of the character for Goku. With Ray, it just came out of complete bumfuck nowhere.
Yeah, and
And
then in
Goku
Dragon
still
Ball, the
has
other
flaws.
character, there are other characters turning up that are really, really strong. And
And
still, while
especially-
Goku is that young, he's running into them.
And
Kamehameha or no.
And that isn't the only time he just learns a move mainly from watching it. He does it through a lot of Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z. He does it for years, taking everyone's shit and using it for himself. He doesn't. Well, he's not a jackass about it. He doesn't say that it's his shit. That's the difference, though.
Mm-hmm.
He isn't going to have that ego about it. If it's useful, he's going to use it. End of story.
Porting cast for the better too. Characters like Master Roshi are now retired because Goku is now the new savior of the Earth. Characters like Ten Shinhan, Piccolo, and Vegeta
Roshi was never
have
savior
changed
of
from
the Earth.
bad to good
No, I was about
because
to
of
say,
his
yeah.
actions. The reason why Goku remains the focus of Dragon Ball is due to one simple fact. Goku is Dragon Ball. Everything that happens in Dragon Ball is due to this character. And it can't
it
be
wasn't even
any other
supposed
way.
to
So
stay
let me
centered
explain
around
why.
him.
Goku's
That is
character
a very
ideal
bold
for
statement.
a
That is-
long-running show because unlike
But
Vegeta
it is an
and
unfortunate
Piccolo,
truth.
his arc doesn't have an expiry date. Vegeta's character
No. The things in Dragon Ball do not happen because of Goku.
Okay, so
Goku reacts to the things that happen in
so
Dragon Ball.
what happened here is this guy
Yeah, yeah.
read Weiland's book. What's her name again? Let me pull up her name if I get it correctly. Weiland. K.M. Weiland. He read her book, or he read at least that section of her book about character arcs. He thinks this is the way things work, and because his character arc is flat, therefore it can go on forever. It's like, no. he has a flat character who encompasses and goes up against many conflicts, because that's what he's good at. He likes to fight. Stories about fighting. So he comes across other fighters and gods, and it goes into the power level creep mode of extremeness. And it's like, all right, yes, that's what he's going to keep doing. That's the story. These are all physical issues, not psychological ones. You could argue some could be about his character. He has to let go of some things or this or that, maybe. And we see a bit of that when he starts transforming into weird versions of himself that are like evil or just I don't know, not comically evil, just like sort of laughing how strong they are when his hair turns purple or whatever. Weird versions of Goku. And I don't know if that's good or bad, but I guess that's the inevitable thing. He just keeps getting stronger and stronger. His enemies keep getting stronger and stronger. And that's just how it's going to go. So,
Well, the first evil Goku was Turles.
okay.
Technically, well, that was only like the same face. And that's the gimmick. There was that a lot of low class Saiyan warriors, a lot of them looked alike. That's the reason.
Wasn't he like one of his brothers instead?
No. That the reason is that
they're
a lot of them genetically, a lot of them because of their genetics, a lot of them looked alike, but not like genetics as in family. Genetics as in, because of the way they were bred. They were all bred to be warriors.
Right. So the argument that this story can keep going on and on has nothing to do with him being a flat character. That's sort of silly. Because you
And
can
again, that it's not even the case that Goku was always going to be in Dragon Ball because he was going to get removed from the show in the Cell arc.
right, and we could have another character because he's died so many times. It's a joke at this point.
Twice.
Yeah, so
He's Optimus Prime, but without the wisdom.
yeah, and you could just replace him with any of the other characters that take up the mantle of protagonist because someone needs to fight these guys, and that would be
Yeah,
fine.
they were gonna do that. Yeah, and they were gonna do that with Gohan, but because Dragon Ball's popularity peaked so much more after that arc, they kept it going. To the detriment of the story, possibly,
Yeah.
but they kept it going.
So there's plenty of ways to extend a story or extend a plot rather, and it doesn't have to be just one character supporting the whole thing. And saying it has to do with the flat character arc, whatever that is exactly anymore, is just wrong. Like that doesn't make sense. You could have a plot that is
Yeah, though.
redemption. That you could stretch out as far as you want because it's never enough.
Yeah.
You can never say sorry enough. You can never do enough work to help whomever you're trying to feel redeemed over. So there's plots you could say it can go on for longer, but it doesn't like. It's really down to the author how much passion he's got and creativity to make interesting stories. Because honestly, it's just fighting. It's just combat.
Yeah,
Okay, and if that's what people want,
mainly, yeah.
it's easy to write that. So
Yeah.
not
And to
bad.
go back to the point about everything that happens is connected to Goku's. Like, people make the joke that he's the absolute center of attention in terms of shit that happens, but there is a lot of events throughout the franchise that happen as a direct response of things he did earlier on in the story. What do you think was the whole point of Cell's existence in the story? Because it was a revenge tactic by someone from the Red Ribbon Army who Goku had kicked their asses in a full-out invasion on their base when he was a kid. And lest we mention Frieza, the whole point that all that happens is because Frieza destroyed the Saiyan homeworld. Whatever the reason you want to think, why he did it is for debate, but a lot of what happens in at least in Dragon Ball Z, specifically Dragon Ball Z, at least those two arcs, Frieza and Cell, are of a direct response to things that Goku has had some involvement in the past.
That's what kind of like annoyed me about Dragon Ball, especially Z, is that like there was like a very obvious passing the torch moment in the end of the Cell saga, and
Yes.
it didn't lead anywhere because like Goku is such a favorite, so he has to be in the main spot.
Well, let's be fair. It wasn't undone like immediately. For the longest time in the Buu saga, we did have Gohan as more or less the main character.
Yes,
It
and
was
then
but it was eventually near the end of the saga. By the time Buu was almost done with that, we got Goku back. But that's only because Goku is ultimately the best person for the job. So yeah, Gohan was stronger than Goku at Super Saiyan 3, but that's really one of two times Gohan has really let his ego take over because he's half Saiyan, and Goku has already surpassed that years ago.
All right.
yeah, but wouldn't that be more satisfying for a character to like grow over that and not pull back Goku for like even Super?
Gohan did learn from that. He learned to not let his Saiyan bloodline get the better of him later on.
Right.
And Gohan was having an issue that Goku had surpassed I believe a decade earlier. The fact that he shouldn't let the power go to his head unless it's absolutely necessary.
All right. Here's Jab Slant for the $5. Thank you, sir. The dude I was referring to yesterday is named Knowledge and Defense. That's his YouTube name, I assume. And he's made vids on Mauler. They're about 4 minutes. So that's nothing. How the hell do you critique Mauler in 4 minutes? That doesn't make any sense. Have a good day, Paninis.
Is that real?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm going to have to check that out. If we can do a 4-minute video.
That sounds completely unreal.
It's maybe getting at a 16th of an argument of that Mauler brings up.
More like a 116th.
Maybe he's a parody channel.
Maybe. I don't know. I'll check it out just to see. But that's crazy.
Yeah.
4 minutes?
Just check stream memes before the stream, and looks like you had a lot of fun yesterday.
Yesterday was like the take has these two women who are just stupid feminists. Like they're just stupid. and they just they are like manufacturing the Kool-Aid. It's coming out of their bodies. It's so retarded. Like, I was just watching that thing was like, how racist are you ladies that you can say this shit and not realize it?
Oh, and I missed it.
Well, it's probably a good thing because
Oh, I watched Lord of the Rings.
yeah, it's probably better. Anyway, we are 7 minutes past. 3 minutes left.
Was praised climax, but because the show wanted to continue, his development had to be altered and slightly retconned at the beginning of Dragon Ball Super, during which they had to repeat certain key scenes to invoke a similar
Super
reaction
some
from
remake
the fan
thing?
base. The same can be said for Piccolo.
Sorry?
Super is a sequel series.
Right.
And
Really?
no, this
I've never
doesn't really
seen it.
happen because
I've never
it
seen
started
it.
off with the Battle of the Gods.
Okay,
Super
I
happens
just thought
after
from some
Z
of the scenes
Wisp.
I saw, I just thought, oh, those look like scenes and moments reenacted from Dragon Ball Z.
And I don't think this really happened because he starts off Super really connected with Bulma. Like, he has that moment where he nearly punches the God of Destruction because he hit Bulma.
That happens in both.
All right.
In front of Gohan blocking a blast during the Resurrection F arc. It's just not the same, because as the show reflects,
No, it's
his
not.
time in the sun is over. On a much more real level, Gohan's story is absolutely over. It ended at Cell. That was the coming of age moment, and nothing he can do will ever top that, unless they drastically revamp, reinvent, or retcon his character. But unlike Vegeta,
Well,
Piccolo,
stuff
and
could
Gohan, Goku is not
go beyond
restricted
that,
by
but they
Who's that
didn't.
going?
What?
Okay, who's that going first off?
conventions due to the nature of his story arc. Because Goku doesn't need to change or grow from an experience, the intrigue when he interacts with a character or situation comes from how the world or that character reacts to Goku. So technically, Goku
Not
and
entirely.
characters like Goku that implement the flat arc have as much intrigue as the world around them does. And as I'm sure many writers would tell you, it's much easier to create interesting tasks and worlds for Goku to explore than it would be for someone to write another way for Vegeta to swallow his pride and for us to care about it. The point that I'm trying to make here is, despite his unwavering
I see nothing wrong with a person swallowing his pride multiple times. I don't see a problem at all.
And he does. Yeah.
Yeah,
they
it can
lead-
take a
it's
couple
a-
times in different ways, because if
Yes.
Vegeta when he starts out, he is vices throughout any imaginable part of his being in regards to pride, yes. And you don't just get rid of that with one epiphany. You may get
Especially-
rid of a
especially
slice
his
of
ego.
that with one specific thing where you have that. But as we see throughout Dragon Ball Z, he's humbled many
Super.
times in different ways.
I'm trying to
And
remember.
Super to an extent.
I'm trying to remember Alonda Malari from Babylon 5 and all the times he had to realize he's not doing the right thing. And he has to backtrack and apologize or fix that or try and save some people's lives. That was hard for him because he thought, oh, the Centauri are amazing. We're the God's gift to the world and da-da-da. It's like,
No. He didn't exactly think that.
well,
He played that a lot because that was his job as diplomat, as ambassador, to portray the Centauri in the best light possible. But he was aware of a lot of the flaws of his
later on,
own
yes.
people, of his own government.
But when he's asked...
Because that's how he got to the position he's in.
but when he's asked what he wants from... what's that guy's name? The Shadow...
Jakar?
No, the Shadow representative. Mr. What's his name? Morden? No. I can't...
Yeah. I think
Mr. Morden, yeah. Morden asks all the ambassadors, what do you want? And he's like, I want the Centauri to be, back on where they used to be. I want glory. I want to reclaim the stars. And he's like, oh, all in good time, because he wants to also destroy all the Narns.
Mm-hmm.
So at that point, he's like, oh, what are you talking about? You're not actually going to let me do that, are you? And he walks away. So he has all that I wouldn't call it a lie, but that's what the mentality of the Centauri has always been. And even when you meet like Rifa and all the other guys, they are very pompous. They are very, godlike. Like, oh, we are the best, and da da da. So that's been a prevalent message throughout the Centauri characters until you get into later episodes.
It's all like the French nobility before the revolution.
Yeah. That's
what the Centauri government is like.
Yeah,
and
essentially.
Yeah, and there's a very subtle, not necessarily joke, but in an early episode, which is in a way, it's a Romeo and Juliet episode about two Centauri who have fled the planet to run away together. And Londo is, because they seek refuge on Babylon 5. And Londo talks about how that true love stuff is just overrated and nonsense and all that, because it's at least one of them is a noble. And that all his marriages were arranged, and it's all wonderful, and it keeps him right where he is, 75 light years away from home, because of his wives. And he shows a little thing with the images of his 3 arranged wives, and he calls them famine, pestilence, and death. And
Oof.
the joke in that whole thing is, who's missing?
War.
And what does Londo bring upon the galaxy? When he does when he goes into the covenant with Morden and the Shadows?
Yeah.
That's good writing. Because that takes seasons to unfold.
Anyway, back to Dragon Ball, which I'm sure he's going to talk about in the next few minutes.
Mm-hmm.
2 minutes left. All right.
Sensibilities, Goku has remained engaging throughout, specifically when he is written by Akira Toriyama, who understood that the character of Goku needed to have a flat arc if he wanted to have the flexibility to write.
Now he's just projecting. Akira Toriyama doesn't need to give a shit about theories on writing. He's already created a character. He's very successful. He's well known in Japan. He doesn't need to theorize on, oh yeah, Goku should remain a flat character and never have any arcs and never have any other conflicts aside from fighting.
Yeah, that was his least of his issues, because the editor kept sending back his material because they didn't like the villain. I think in the Cell Saga.
Yeah.
Before that, like the androids.
Someone else.
Yeah, this is like me arguing, well, Neil Gaiman clearly understands the concept of dramatic structure and 3-point or 4-point acts. It's like, I don't, no, he doesn't need to do that. He doesn't need to name names on how he writes. He's amazing already. Maybe he read it in a book somewhere. I think he actually talked about how to write, but the way he learned to write was he just read other people's work. That's it. He just liked writing, and he became a journalist, and he just interviewed people and talked to people and then wrote articles.
Yeah, he just does it.
He just wrote. He got into it. He really liked writing and reading and books in general. He doesn't need to know the theory. The theory helps you if you're starting out and you don't know what to do and why things work. It's kind of like learning psychology, like why are people angry and all this crap. But you just have to ask them, why are you angry? Like, oh, okay, yeah. Get to know them.
Write a manga chapter. Goku is a flexible, engaging character because he utilizes the flat character.
No,
No.
he's an engaging character all because of the flat character. Come on, dude.
That makes no sense.
Because Akira Toriyama used a dramatic structure, therefore Goku is X. Like, no.
I don't this way too much.
So I don't know about you Americans, but we like Goku in part because we went with him throughout his entire life before we get to Dragon Ball Z.
So like a character like Dexter Jester is the perfect character because it's perfectly utilizing the flat character arc. Is this his reason?
Jar Jar Binks.
Jar Jar Binks, like does he change his character? Well, he becomes from an exile to general.
Yeah, but that's just his
whatever he
job. That's just his job. Jar Jar never
is.
changes.
He develops.
That's
He's
another
still the
thing.
same stupid idiot.
He goes in the power struggle. Like
He's still
helps
Forrest
Palpatine.
Gump, but bad.
Shit.
That's another thing. Most characters are flexible because most characters can be put into many plots.
And that's
And it would
what
always
Goku
be
is
interesting
written
to see how they react to said plot.
I'm trying to think of like Saitama is a good character because you could put him into anything. His plight is still the same. He will always eliminate a guy because that's the point of the show, and he'll
Because his plight isn't physical.
right. It's it doesn't matter what's destroying the city. He's like, I'll deal with it, but first I got to go buy some mushrooms because they're on sale or something. So
Saitama is basically what stupid people think Superman is.
And Spike's a great character who could go into anything because he's cool, smooth, the way he moves and everything. And that's pretty much what they do throughout the series is they throw him into a bunch of different stories.
Despite it being a parody in that sense. Saitama is still more intelligently written than what stupid people think Superman is. Even as a parody, he's better than that.
It's better than Goku, for fuck's sake.
I wish I could talk to this guy for about 5 minutes and just like set him straight because he just read one author and went, oh, this is how writing works. You're like, no.
Oh.
And that this particular arc has value. And so, with the stigma nowadays claiming that Goku is a boring character because he has no personal development, I feel compelled to say, no, that's not a fair assessment at all. On top of the positive character arc being the most common arc in character writing.
I mean, boring is just really subjective in the first place anyway. That's one reason why I don't think it's like a really good argument when people bring it up about stories. They can say it's boring all day. Someone saying, well, it's not boring to me is
right.
enough to counter it.
It depends what hooks you into the story. So if a story is not about character development, then there has to be something else in there while you're watching the show. And it's clearly about the fighting. It's clearly about overcoming a physical adversary in a unique way and training to get there and all the things you have to do to get to that level. So it's not about psychological change. It's about physical change and physically fighting someone and overcoming that guy, else he'll blow up the planet or whatever. So that's the show. It's not supposed to be this big personal international lesson on overcoming your personal demons or no. It's just he's a happy guy who likes to fight. And he wants to save his
Dragon
friend.
Ball is just the definition of it. It's not really all that deep, bro.
Yeah,
I'd like to give a counterexample maybe to this, which would be Samurai Jack. Samurai Jack does not have an overarching character development. He has only some stereotypical or classical, I'd rather say classical, inside episode development where he develops a new skill. But
I was
overall,
actually thinking about bringing up Samurai Jack myself for a while now.
but overall, like when he learns to fight the monks, and he has to learn to anticipate all the arrows just by feeling, or something was that. That's just developing a new skill. Or he learns to understand another culture he's thrown in yet again. And but real character development he doesn't have, because that's what he mostly already went through before he began his adventure.
Yeah,
He's
that
only
all started
learning
before
about the
in episode
places
1
he's
when
getting
he
in.
traveled the world to develop his skills to
Mhm.
defeat Aku.
Yeah, so what we are following is the developed Samurai Jack on his journey of adventures, where we see him being amazing most of the time.
Now, he
And-
does have his arc in the newer episodes.
In the final season, he has a little bit more of that, yes.
But that arc
Um,
is him turning back into who he was, basically. It's a redemption arc.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but overall, I would say that Jack doesn't have the big arc, the classical one. It's just cut down into the Saturday morning routine. That still doesn't make him any more or less appealing. And this is why I find this whole argument so odd.
Yeah, this is disregarding the show as a show. It's just saying, well, this character is flat, therefore he's good. Like, I don't get it. Like, that's just not a.
It makes no sense.
Yeah. All right.
So it's not important. It depends on what you're writing.
Yeah.
But it's not required to be a good character on whether you have a flat character without an arc. That's what I would rather say. There's no arc. That's what he means with a flat arc. That means no arc.
This is why we like to use the
Or
example.
whether you have one. That doesn't say anything about whether it's a good character or an enjoyable character. Let's say.
Yeah, we like to use the example of the Mary Poppins movie as an example of a Mary Sue who's not the focus of the story. Because as soon as you make a character who can do all these things, is magical, and they're not the focus of the narrative, you're like, okay, so why are they there? They're just there as a supporting role so that the family can have their get-togethers issues dealt with. And she can fly, she can, charm animals and talk to things and all this crap, but she's not the focus. And it's a musical, so it's there for lighthearted fun. You're not to take it seriously, even though you have a magical flying nanny over here who's teaching you the birds and the bees and how to be good. So you can still have these bad character patterns, but if they're not the focus, it's okay, because who cares if there's God in the corner and he's blowing up planets in another universe? Like, who cares?
Or like Bruce Almighty.
Yeah, like it's fine. The story's not about God.
Yeah.
He just happens to be there, I don't know, washing a floor with some metaphor or something. I don't remember.
And he's basically a jumping off point for the main character to develop and learn a lesson
About love, yeah. About what it means to have a relationship, and no matter how many powers or things you've got, you still have to learn to love someone. You can't force them to love you and all that other stuff. So he has to figure out what's more important to him. And if only he had omnipotent powers, he could do whatever he wants. Like, no, you can't. It won't change anything.
I don't know.
Anyway, we have a minute left. Hopefully, we'll get some. I don't know. Does he have VPN sales?
I'm not convinced yet about the message of this video.
Yeah, it's a bit dumb, actually.
I read a book once.
And one section of her book, and you're like, oh.
This is like the second or third time that exact same book has been recommended through a video.
Weiland?
I forgot about books, and this guy has read.
She's not
I'm
bad.
willing to bet that we watched the video. That was exact same book.
Oh,
Yeah,
maybe that's too mean.
she's not bad, but she's no John Truby. Like, she has like a little bit of his understanding, but I would not recommend her. She's fine, but she's not great. Anyway, 1 minute left.
And noticeable, it also seems to be the only one given any spotlight at all. Rarely does someone talk about a negative character arc, which would be observed with characters like Light Yagami from Death Note, or even Zamasu from Dragon Ball Super. This is when a character goes from a good or benign standing to that of a villain or changes for the worse. Even a flat arc like Goku's can be subdivided into categories. Goku is a positive flat arc, and an example of a negative flat arc
Does that make any
observed
sense?
with characters like Frieza, who are evil to the core, unwavering, manipulating the world around them.
That's not
instead
an
of
arc.
the world changing fighting them. This is part of the
They're
reason
not
why
flat,
Frieza and
damn it.
Goku's interactions are so compelling, because they are both steadfast in their beliefs. I am
So?
certainly not trying to claim that one character arc
Okay,
is
I could even make the argument because it doesn't go anywhere, Goku doesn't change, that's a negative arc.
I just keep hearing about round squares and pointy circles. What's going on?
Yeah, I think he got the idea of round and flat confused with positive and negative because he read that book. And he doesn't understand the difference.
Or with something and nothing. And
Yeah, because
Yeah.
usually when we talk about negative arcs, we talk about people who already believe something and now they're doubling down. They
I think
realize...
he missed.
Sorry?
Yeah, I think he mistakes an arc for
Yeah.
anything the character goes through or happens to the character or with the character or in presence of the character from beginning to end of the story.
Yeah.
That's not an arc. That's just things happen in the story.
A negative arc is not necessarily a negative choice. It's kind of like they realize they have flaws as a result of their philosophy, and they go, no, I need to be this way, or else I can't deal with reality. And every time they're put into conflict, they're proven right. So there's no actual change. They are now digging themselves deeper, or if you want to give the analogy of climbing up the mountain further, because they believe that philosophy so much. So it's the same idea. There's no change of ideology. It's a hardening. Like we talk about Dragon Age Origins. You could harden characters of I think Alistar and Liliana. Like you could harden them so that they can get along with certain plot points in the story, which is cool.
I mean, Joker is is a good example of this, I think, because he is thrown into hell. He is already in hell. Then he gets thrown deeper into hell. Hero's journey. But he never really makes it out. He just makes his peace with hell while he's in it. So he's just going down and doubles down into it.
Yeah. All right.
And he does get a reward for it, yes, but he doesn't come out a better person.
Here is Alex Halo. Hey, Alex. Luffy has black hair like Goku. Luffy equals Goku? What?
Yeah, but makes sense. Well,
okay. You say so, Alex. You're the expert here. I mean, you're better off than this guy. This guy's confused. I mean, we take like 5 minutes just to talk to this guy about character arcs and what they are and give examples. Anyway. Yeah, less than 50 seconds. Okay.
is superior, but merely pointing out certain advantages the flat arc might have over the others because of its design.
I've never heard that
to
argument.
reiterate, Dragon Ball cannot be Dragon Ball without Goku. And while wonderful characters like Piccolo and Vegeta are thrilling and fun to watch, I think it's important to acknowledge that Goku's character has value too, but in a vastly different way.
Of course it has
I hope that
value. He's the
having
main
listened to this
character.
video that some of you out there might have found that uncovered a new appreciation for his character. I hope that you can look at character arcs in a different way now.
No.
You've said essentially nothing.
You confuse a term with another term, and I don't know, combine them somehow, and that doesn't... I don't think he read her book, honestly. I think he just read a few paragraphs. And so that's how stories work. You're like, no, please, no.
You probably read a Wikipedia article on it.
On her book.
On the book.
Maybe. I could explain anything.
I mean, you can still criticize Goku for not having much growth in character, but that doesn't change that he's a beloved character.
All right.
Like that doesn't make him misunderstood. I don't.
Okay.
I don't understand the premise of this video to begin with.
Here is our stream memes of the day. This guy, it's 6 images, can turn almost every enemy into a friend. He's just so friendly when he punches you. He's really nice.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, the last one is Kid Buu on that one.
You can break my soul, take my life away, beat me, hurt me, kill me, but for the love of God, don't touch her. Oh my God. Chi-Chi?
In all seriousness, say what you want, but Goku, despite his flaws, he'll die for her.
Nah, if there's enough food, I think like he's going to go for
No,
food.
no. In all seriousness, it goes beyond that because he did eventually like realize, yeah, she's important to him.
And she makes food.
Yeah, shut up. It's like we know that. That's a given. But there's especially one scene in Cell Saga where it's like before he takes off to like save everyone from second form Cell, it's like he shows legitimate concern for Chi-Chi before he takes off with instant transmission.
So, if you guys want to watch that 8-second meme of notifications on Discord, it's from the abridged Dragon Ball Z, which is probably everyone should watch that. That's amazing. So, anyway, gorgeous wreck. Oh,
I just saw it. Sorry.
this is really good.
Oh yeah, that too.
Very JoJo-ish, yeah. Last one. Dragon Ball and Goku. Where's the racist white women and Jim Crow? Thanks, Hawk. I swear everything is going to be racism with Hawk. It's just an ongoing joke.
There is racism in Dragon Ball. I mean, there's a guy who tells everyone that stop. That guy is not black.
Okay.
Everyone's got to
I
think.
remember
Goku's
there was
racist.
something like that. Where was that?
Yeah, it was in the Dove of Super. One of the
Yes, Double
cops says,
Super.
"Wait, that's not black."
Oh, that was in the alternate future. It's like that was so wrong. How did that cat pass the recording session?
They just
I
the
think
Goku
they knew.
black
They-
to
they
it.
knew.
Why can't they just do that?
How did they know? Well, that dub was recorded like years, like a couple of years before the BLM shit like came into the spotlight.
Oh, the whole police thing is been
that-
a trope for a long time now.
Yeah, but come on, man.
It is accurate though. Like you can't blame it that like they just going to like change names or like anything. They just go with the original names. I think
What?
Toriyama is a fucking racist. That's how. That's the solution.
No, but I mean, in Japan, it makes sense. They don't care about the shit that's happening over here. But the problem is the dub, mainly. Ugh.
All right. Well, that was a relatively short video and a relatively short Smudcast on the topic. One very, I guess you could say confused, although I think misinformed YouTuber. I'm not sure if he read her book or understood it, but yeah, guys, don't take what he said seriously. The thing is, some of his stuff was right, but his conclusions are just I don't know what to make sense of. So anyway, keep enjoying Dragon Ball and all the other anime for exactly what it is, not for the fact that it may have a flat character arc as he described, if that's a thing. So
Yeah. Enjoy it for what you enjoy it for.
yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Anyway, keep the videos coming. The suggestions are always available. And maybe if yours does not get picked this week, it could happen next week. I don't know. So thank you so much. Have yourself a great evening. I'm going to take it easy right now. And we'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.